in the tremendously powerful Lola that's already taken them to 3 Thundersports victories this year. But look out for the smaller Lola car of James Wallace, chairman of the race sponsors, the Otford Group, and Mike Wiles, third there on the grid. Well, the cars are completing their warming up lap, ready for the rolling start, and the commentator is Murray Walker.
And so the race is on. The pace car has gone into the pits, and now, as we expected, John Fulston in the mighty Lola Chevrolet leads away up Hailwoods Hill, round Druids Hill Bend, and then the descent into Graham Hill Bend. This car is one of 38 no-holds-barred sports cars, everything from 500-plus horsepower turbo cars down to Sports 2000 cars. And the favourite, of course, has to be the Lola Chevrolet of the two Johns, John Fulston and John Brindley, who dominated Thundersports racing in 1985. And as they go round this first lap, here's the way Thundersports works. It's 30 laps here at Brands Hatch, and there are 2 drivers. And in the middle third of the race, that is to say, between laps 10 and 20, there is a compulsory driver change. It's a semi-endurance race, in fact, between 100 and 150 miles usually. And there are 3 classes. There have been 8 rounds during the year, and this is very much the most important of the year. There isn't actually a championship, but if there was, the car that's leading now would be leading the championship, John Fulston and John Brindley. That car, as we look at the Tim Lee Davey car, here is the mighty ex-Can-Am car. John Fulston of Atlantic Computers, the man who's driving it, a very wealthy sportsman who's got a magnificent museum of his own of racing cars, including a couple of Ferraris. And this car is reputedly one of the ex-VDS cars, Count van der Straten, the Belgian, tremendously wealthy man. And the bodywork alone for that car cost some £30,000. Just look at it. It's got a V8 Chevrolet engine. In second place at the moment is the Tim Lee Davey and Neil Krang Tiger DFV. You'll notice that because it's very much a distinctive motor car, having a roof over the driver and a 3.9 Ford engine modelled on the famous DFV. And there's barrister Tim Lee Davey, who's taking the first stint in third position behind him. It looks like the Richard Piper. It's the Richard Piper Tony Trimmer car. That's the Chevron DFV. Now there's the second place. In the third position there is Will Hoy with his co-driver David Leslie waiting in the pits to take over. And that is a tremendously interesting motor car. It's a Tiger car with a Hart's turbocharged engine in, and that's exactly the same type of engine that's used in Grand Prix racing, and it looks as though he's blown it already. They've had all sorts of development problems with this car during the season, and the unfortunate Clubman's champion, Will Hoy, looks as though he's out of the race in the very early stages. This is only lap 3, 1/10th distance, and that does look now as though the Richard Piper Tony Trimmer Chevron DFV is up into third position. As you can see, the weather conditions are absolutely superb. There's the Piper Trimmer car with Tony Trimmer driving it at the moment, ex-Lotus Grand Prix driver, and a man who has really missed his chance in motor racing through no fault of his own. He's an excellent driver and he's never had the brakes. But it looks as though he's getting one now as he moves up a place and takes the car that was second on the grid. That's the Don Prater Ian Flux Lola with its Mazda rotary engine. And he's sitting out of the end. There's a big crash there, and it looks like the number 10 car of Tim Lee Davey and Neil Krang. As you can see, it's gone off at Clearways. The car buried in the tyres. It surely must, yes it is. It's the Lee Davey Krang car which has gone off at Clearways Corner, and Tim Lee Davey looks perfectly okay, thank heavens for that. He's out of the race, and the saloon, just as at last year's race, when Ray Mallock went off and his car caught fire, is in a most undignified position at Clearways. It's race finished, and that of Tim Lee Davey. Battle for second, up Aylward Hill, into Druids, Tony Trimmer there. It's Ian Taylor driving the third car, the Tiger, with its BMW engine, specially brought over from Munich. It's very much a works engine, from BMW. This is a very prestigious race. And Ian Taylor was telling me last night that he's got a very good feeling about it, and he may well have, because the white car won 2 of the races in the series, notwithstanding the fact that it's only got a 2-litre engine against the mighty DFV 3.9, 3.3 and 3-litre, not to mention the Lola Chevrolet, which is a 5-litre engine car. And Lovett and Taylor won at Brands in May, they won at Brands in July, and they've won their class 5 times. It's a nimble, very quick motor car, but as you can see for yourselves, Tony Trimmer, as they go into Clearways now, on the 6th lap, is keeping Ian Taylor at bay. Coulston is well away on his own, and there's just as much of a gap behind this battle for second as there is after John Coulston in the lead. Number 15 look for in 4th position, Mike Wilds and Jim Wallace, and they're driving, and there it is, Jim Wallace, the head man of the Otford group who are sponsoring this race, and he's right up with, there's the Mike Wilds car going through, and now he is lapping the Westwood Longfield car, which has now been passed by the leading 4 contenders, and there's Jim Wallace, 51-year-old Jim Wallace. Youth is not, comparative age is not dimming his driving ability. He goes jolly well. And that car, number 15, a Lola T286, has got a 3.3-litre, and his co-driver, there is Mike Wilds getting ready, ex-secretary of the British Racing and Sports Car Club, ex-BRM Formula 1 driver, Mike Wilds. And that car is looked after by Bob Salisbury in Loughborough. We're expecting this one to be the first one to come in, and he's on his 8th lap at the end of it, coming up to the end of the 8th lap now, in 4th position. The race still being led most commandingly by John Coulston in the fail-safe Lola Chevrolet. It's got an over 500 horsepower V8 engine, and as Jim Wallace completes the lap, Mike Wilds is almost ready. The pit signal will go out, I expect, at the end of the next lap to Jim Wallace to say, come in, change over. And then just as Brindley will probably make the leading car go quicker, so Mike Wilds may well make this 4th car go quicker. There's Mike, all ready. That's David Leslie in the background, the Scottish driver, getting ready for, well, not getting ready for his stint, actually, looking extremely casual with his hands in his pockets and no helmet on. But it's absolutely crucial, of course, and one of the problems that we need to look out for is the fact that the safety belts have to be done up before the driver can leave the circuit, leave the pits, and that is normally done by the mechanics because the driver himself can't get enough tension on his shoulders, of the shoulder straps. Jim Wallace then, lap 9, he's on the closing stages of lap 9, going out of Stirling's Bend now, the left-hander, down underneath the bridge into Clearways and Clark Curve, onto the Brabham Straight. And it looks to me as though Jim Wallace is going on. Yes, he's going to do the full 10 laps. He doesn't have to come in on lap 11, of course. He can come in any time between lap 10 and lap 20. But in that middle 1/3, there has to be a driver change. That is the car which is in third position now. Tony Trimmer has gone down to third place because up into second place has gone Ian Taylor. He's got past the Texas car that you can see lapping tail-enders now. So Fulston leads, but, and this could be very significant indeed, the nimble BMW car number 47, the Tiger TS85 of Ian Taylor, there he is now up into second place. And as Taylor crosses the line, the leader, Fulston, is well away on his 11th lap out of 30. And now we've got the first driver change coming into the pits. Here's Jim Wallace, there's Mike Wilds. Here I am, Jim, he says. Well done, Jim, in fourth position. Off come the safety belts. Up goes the Cowley. There's Bob Salisbury in the foreground, getting the safety belts ready. The crutch straps being done up for Mike Wilds. All very calm and deliberate. Bob Salisbury, there his hands doing it, the straps. Putting the catch of the Cowley down, and that way, as a tyre-smoking, rubber-laying Mike Wilds exits the pits at considerable speed. We'll soon get a check on whether he's lost any places as a result of coming in and changing. And now Mike Wilds is probably going to do the whole, in fact he will be doing the whole remaining 19 laps himself. There's the leader. There's been a lot of contention about this car. I said earlier on that it was a no-holds-barred sports car race. One of the rules is that they have to be two-seaters, and as you can see, Fulston is sitting very much in the centre of the car. And there have been some mutterings in the pit lane about whether this complies with the spirit as opposed to the absolute law of the regulations. But it's been perfectly permissible. As I told you, it's been enormously successful. And I'm looking down into the pit lane, and as off spins the Evan Clements and James Thompson car, that's a Royale RP37. That's one of the Sports 2000 cars. It's in a very dangerous position, of course, and you can see the yellow flags waving in the background by one of the marshals, indicating, my goodness, you can see why they're having a problem. The whole back end of the car has been stoved in. A furious flurry of waving yellow flags on the exit to the very demanding bend there. That's Paddock Bend. You can see the hospitality boxes in the background, and with those yellow flags waving and the marshals frantically trying to think of a way to get it off the car, the leader, John Fulston, is now on his 14th lap out of 30 and is right up with Mike Wilds. And John Brindley, JB, is John Brindley, who not only has driven with enormous success in this Thundersports series this year, but also in the Formula Libre series, where he has been racing against Alo Lawler, the Irish driver, for supremacy in that class, and they've been doing sharing of the wins between them. So, Mike Wilds, number 15, and into the pits in third position comes Tony Trimmer for Richard Piper to take over. The Chevron DFE 3-litre Grand Prix engined car, although the Grand Prix engine is in sports car trim with different cams and inlet tracks and all that sort of thing. Richard Piper into the car. This is the car that won this event, the Brands meeting, with Tiffany Dell actually in place of Tony Trimmer, who's got out of the car. And now we get into the lap scorer's nightmare situation, where with 14 laps of the race almost completed, and that Sports 2000 car still on the racing line on the exit from Paddock Bend, and Fulston, number 1, the race leader, getting ready to come into the pits, but still not having caught and passed Mike Wilds in the Lola T286 with its 3.3-litre Ford engine. So the driver out of the Sports 2000, he looks shaken, but hopefully from the way he was walking, no broken bones or problems. And the pace car is out now. The pace car is out. This is another feature. There it is. This is another feature of Thundersports racing. In the event of a major problem, like the one that is on the exit to Paddock Bend at the moment, the stationary car with its back pushed in, the pace car comes out and he tries to pick up the leader. Doesn't always succeed, but then from that point onwards, nobody is allowed to pass the pace car. So the smart people will be coming into the pits now and making their pit stops, taking advantage of the fact that the race is slowing down. This is similar to the American Indy rules, and John Fulston is gesticulating, or was gesticulating, to John Brindley as he went past the pits there. John Brindley is obviously agitated. Yeah, shook his head there. He's obviously agitated about the fact that Fulston is not coming in. Maybe John Fulston is exerting the owner's right to say, I'm going to go on driving as long as I jolly well like John Brindley. Now look at the queue behind the pace car, and the broken car has been, the Evan Clements James Thompson Royale has been removed. And there are cars waiting in the pits. You see, there's a whole lot of cars waiting in the pits to come out. They're being held by the marshals in the pits because they weren't allowed to go out while the car was static, and Fulston is coming in. Fulston is coming in. This is the race leader coming in to hand over to John Brindley, who will make the Lola really fly. Not that John Fulston has been hanging about. Out jumps the bespectacled John Fulston. Out to the left, in to the right goes Brindley. Now let's see how his helpers deal with the crutch straps and the shoulder straps. Can't find the buckle. And now Brindley's got to join the queue. There it is, you see, they're static. And there's cars actually being turned back at the present moment. Now, the pace car should peel off. But no, he's not. They are still not happy. There is a problem out on the circuit. And meantime, there's people taking advantage of this delay. And that is Ian Taylor coming in. The second place car. That was a smart bit of thinking. A crucial move, that, and an excellent one. Peter Lovett, ex-saloon car champion, British champion, driving in the Rover team, and now the cars are streaming back onto the circuit, including Peter Lovett, and that was a masterly tactical move which could well have won them the race in the end analysis. We'll have to wait and see. John Brindley, I've just seen Brindley waving out of the cockpit, and he certainly wasn't saying hello, Mum, I can tell you that. He's trying to indicate to the people at the back of the pits, I think, that he is not happy with something in the car. This is all my hypothesis. The car looks steady enough there, but it is most definitely not going at the racing speed that John Fulston was driving it in the opening laps of this race to take the lead. The pace car's lights are off, and that means to say that it will be coming in at the end of this lap. That's the signal that we were all looking for. When the lights go out, the car comes in and the race restarts, said he confidently. Mike Wilds is the third car in the group, and he's going to zap past the two that are in front of him. Look for the yellow helmet. There's Mike Wilds, you see. He's third behind the pace car, and he'll be putting his right trotter down and really going for it when the pace car peels off. Then he will have a clear circuit, whereas John Brindley is right at the back of the queue, and he will have to thread his way past the Sports 2000s and the next class, which is up to 2000cc cars, and we should see some masterly overtaking. There he goes. It is it. And already Mike Wilds has taken his chance. Boom, across the line goes Mike Wilds. He's now got a clear circuit, and we can look for John Brindley, and the shark amongst the minnows, the V8 Chevrolet with its 500 horsepower engine, is going to be scything its way through. Well, is he going to be scything his way through? It looks to me as though the scythe is a bit blunt, because Brindley has certainly got a problem. No doubt about it. He's dawdling round the slow right-hander at Druids. He is not going anything like as fast as the Mike Wilds car. You may be wondering if the pace car laps are included, and the answer is most definitely yes. I can tell you that the Mike Wilds car is benefiting from the fact that it was able to sprint away, and now on lap 22 in this 30-lap race, you're looking at the car which is leading the race, with in second position Sean Walker and Bob Evans in number 7, if you see it on your screens, and that's the toy BMW TOJ. In third position it's Paul Jackson and New Zealander Rob Wilson. They're both Formula 3 drivers in the March 75S with the DFV engine, and in fourth position is the Piper Trimmer car. Now this is the battle for second place. You see now in the yellow toy BMW, ex-Grand Prix driver Bob Evans being chased by Richard Piper in the Chevron DFV. Two very distinctive cars and two very pretty cars. There's the previous leader, and don't forget that still very much out in the front is the Mike Wilds Jim Wallace car, the Otford Group Lola T286. Battle is joined. Bob Evans is through, and Richard Piper was held up there, but now he's passed. So it's a 2.3-litre engined car, the yellow one, the toy BMW. It's a 3-litre engined Grand Prix Ford DFE engined car, and certainly Richard Piper is having to fight every inch of the way, and it's Peter Lovett. Peter Lovett is coming up through the field. That's the car that was leading Peter Lovett for a while. Went into the pit, you remember, with Ian Taylor. And so now, second, third and fourth are absolutely together. A great scrap in the closing stages. This is lap 25 out of 30. Going up to second. Lovett's going to second. Peter Lovett, car 47, the man from Swindon in the BMW powered Tiger, moves up to second place, ahead of the yellow toy BMW. There it is, Bob Evans driving. Behind him in fourth position, the blue Chevron DFV. In front of them all, Mike Wilds driving the Oxford Group Lola. And back into third position goes Piper. Piper's back to third. He's taken the BMW. Down from second to fourth in one lap goes the yellow toy BMW of Sean Walker and Bob Evans. Bob Evans now, Sean Walker, the Sports 2000 champion. And off goes another spinner. Very tricky. It's the James Higgins Royale RP37. And Peter Lovett now is holding his second place ahead of the Piper and Trimmer car, with Brindley still limping. They're on the 28th lap out of 30. What a very, very effective looking motor car that is. I think there's probably oil on the track. There's a lot of untoward spinning happening. Staying at the same hotel as me, and he said to me yesterday afternoon that the car was going beautifully. He felt good about the race. It looks as though he was right. Just as a matter of passing interest, but not more than that to a lot of the competitors. There are 3 classes in this race, and Peter Lovett, of course, is certainly leading his class, just as this one, the overall race leader, number 15, Mike Wild, sharing the Lola DFV with Jim Wallace, the car's owner, is leading its class. Another lap now. Let's see how Mike Wild deals with the tail enders, which he's lapping straight between 2 of them. Keeps the inside line as he goes to paddock, but drops back a bit. He can well afford to do so. He's now on lap 29 out of 30, and a bit of physical contact there between the Davina Galitza, the only woman driver in the race, and Gary Brabham car. Now there's Wilds. There's Wilds, and he's right up behind the Davina Galitza Brabham car. This, assuming he wins, is going to be a very popular and a very, very well-deserved victory for ex-Grand Prix driver Mike Wilds and his co-driver, the car's owner, Jim Wallace, and appropriately enough too, because the Otford Group, which own the car, are also sponsoring the race. And now Mike Wilds is almost at the end of his 29th lap coming out of Stirling. He's approaching Clearways to go into the Brabham Straight at the end of lap 29 and the start of the 30th and last lap. Over the line. The gap between Mike Wilds, the race leader, now on his way up to Druids, and in second place the Lovett and Taylor car with Peter Lovett driving is about 12 seconds. So Mike Wilds can afford to take it very easily indeed. Gary Brabham, by the way, is driving the Davina Galitza and Brabham car at the moment, and Gary Brabham is the son, one of the sons of one of the greatest racing drivers of all time, 3 times world champion Sir Jack Brabham. Gary trying to emulate Dad. And Mike Wilds not trying to emulate anybody. He's doing his own thing. He's on the last lap. He's got a clear circuit in front of him and a clear track behind him. And there's Jim Wallace, obviously a bit worried. Is his car going to win? Well, unless something very dramatic happens in the closing stages, it certainly is, because Mike Wilds is into Stirling's, on the little descent now to Clearways and Clark Curve. The checkered flag is being readied. The checkered flag is going out. Mike Wilds is going to be the first man to see it. Mike Wilds has won, and Jim Wallace gets down from the pit wall, exultant and exuberant that Mike Wilds in the Otford car has won. This is the second place man, and it's Peter Lovett driving home to second position, and of course to win his class. Who is going to be third? It should be coming through in third position Richard Piper and Tony Trimmer. Indeed it is. Piper and Trimmer have finished in third place, and there is the Texas Cup. Celebrations then. Jim Wallace shaking hands all round. Obviously very, very happy indeed. That's Tony Trimmer there, who shared the driving seat of the car that was third with Richard Piper. And at the end of this 30-lap Thundersports race, with all sorts of drama, including driver changes and the exit from the race of the hot favourite, John Fulston and John Brindley, victory for Mike Wilds and Jim Wallace in their Lola DFV powered car. In second place, and the class winners, Peter Lovett and Ian Taylor in their Tiger BMW, and in third position Richard Piper and Tony Trimmer in the Chevron DFV.
There's the result confirmed. James Wallace, Mike Wilds car placed first, Lovett and Taylor second, Piper and Trimmer third, but a surprise in the final classification with the Lola of Fulston and Brindley officially placed fourth, despite a broken drive shaft. and being held in the pit lane while the pace car was out. Brindley managed to nurse the car home and hang on for fourth.